Hello and welcome back to another Project Plus video. So we're on domain 3, tools and documentation, which is 19% of the exam. And we're on 3.2, compare and contrast various project management productivity tools. We're taking this information right from CompTIA's exam objectives. So right here, 3.2. I'll link to this document down below. Okay, let's go. So communication tools. Email. Hopefully we all know what email is. It's a great, well, not necessarily. It's not necessarily a great form of communication. It's asynchronous. It means it's not at the same time. We're not communicating. So you send something, you expect someone to get it, read it at their convenience, and respond at their convenience. And one of the challenges with email is it's really hard to put your tone of voice and stuff like that in there. Some things just don't belong in email. So messaging, once again, this is another one where you can't really put tone of voice in, but it's more immediate, more urgent than email. Still maybe not synchronous. It's still kind of asynchronous, but there's a little more urgency to it. Where email, you might expect people to respond in a day or two, max. Messaging, an hour or so. And chat, same. If it might not be immediate. And there are, of course, short message services. SMS is text messages to the phone, where chat is more of an app on the phone that can go back and forth. Phone or computers. So then you have, of course, a phone call, voice. These are synchronous at the same time, where you say something and you expect someone to respond immediately. So there is the expectation that it is immediate. It is immediate interaction. This also interrupts whatever they're currently doing. So we should be mindful of where the communication belongs. Face-to-face meetings. So this is, once again, it's immediate. So it facilitates immediate direct interaction. And it can also help build relationships. So you might schedule weekly meetings even though there's not a critical burning issue, just so that you have a way for people to communicate over time, so they're not always communicating because the house is burning down, right? Video. This is more video conferencing, not YouTube videos. So this is, once again, it's immediate. And it helps to bridge the gap between remote teams because we're global now, right? And then there's enterprise social media. So tools where people can put information out there and someone can look at it as time allows. So collaboration tools. So there are real-time tools that you expect immediate response, and there's also multi-authoring editing software. So multi-authoring editing software allows people to interact with each other and edit a document, for example, at the same time. Google does this, Office 365 does this. More and more applications are allowing it. In the past, it wasn't explicitly allowed. It's getting there. But there are still some file sharing platforms, our next bullet point, that do not allow people to access the file and edit it at the same time. People can access it at the same time, they can look at it at the same time, but multiple edits at the same time can cause issues. And there are lots of different file sharing platforms. Some file sharing platforms actually download copies to your system, so you're not necessarily dealing with the primary source. You're dealing with a copy. So workflow and e-signature platforms, these help automate business processes where someone initiates something and it needs approval processes and you want to thoroughly document it. So the workflow is the process that is followed, and the signatures are the approvals that are given by the different people. And this is a lot better than having to run a paper around, especially if you have people around, once again, around the globe. You don't want to have to fly a piece of paper all over to get it signed. So whiteboards, I mean, they're digital and hard versions of whiteboards. We all use them, right? In fact, I've seen someone writing on a real whiteboard and taking pictures, or writing on a whiteboard, a physical whiteboard, and having the camera push it out to people. So we blend the real world and the virtual world sometimes with whiteboards. But there are software that allow you to do this immediately, just virtually. And you can collaborate with them too. It's great for creative thinking and problem solving, and allowing people to map out their ideas. And then there's wiki knowledge bases. Wikis are awesome. So you can put information there. Other people can edit it. You can actually have an approval process or not. You can see the history of something. It's just a great place to help disseminate, to give out the knowledge that people have acquired, so that it can become part of the organization. So meeting tools. Sometimes you need to know what people are thinking, or understand, are they following along properly? And that's where real-time surveys and polling can come in handy, especially in a big crowd. You can't always gauge by looking at people or having them raise their hands or say aye or whatever. So real-time surveying and polling is really helpful, especially for big meetings. Or documenting. It's just small meetings, just documenting that, hey, this is the results. Calendaring tools. It's so important to manage and coordinate meetings and events. And oftentimes you have to integrate with different people's calendars because people use different things. And one of the hardest ones is when someone doesn't use a calendaring tool and they're like, oh, I just know when I'm going to. It's really hard to schedule meetings when you don't have access to someone's calendar because it's in their brain. So sometimes you have to require people to use a calendar, which can be hard, getting people to do something new. Print media. Now this doesn't actually have to be physical handouts. It can be, but you can also distribute stuff digitally and have media, rich media that is provided to help people understand better what's going on, or in a very short method get a lot of data transferred. Conferencing platforms. This is technical solutions that help with virtual meetings. It facilitates people from meeting all over the globe. There's audio, video, and all sorts of cool tech options built in to a lot of these now. Documentation and office productivity tools. So hopefully almost all of us are familiar with word processing, spreadsheets, and presentation stuff. But word processing is for editing and formatting text files. Spreadsheets are more for data in rows and columns, and it has some visualization tools. We've got to be careful. I remember doing some help at a company, and the CEO told me that if anyone shares a graph or something like that in a meeting, he asks, where's that from? And if he finds out it's from Excel, they're fired on the spot. Because they've had too many people get some data, think they know what they're doing, come with a fancy graph, and decisions are made and it's wrong because they didn't understand the data well enough. So just be careful with spreadsheets. They have their uses, but usually one person isn't the source of all knowledge. Make sure that you know what you're talking about when you do stuff there. But they're great, especially for project stuff, keeping track of the burn down rates and stuff like that. But expect errors because spreadsheets are usually one person. And people aren't perfect. So presentation tools. So this is like slideshows, sometimes just oral presentations with some maybe fancy things in the background. Not a presentation, maybe actual supplies, material type stuff. And then you have charting and diagramming tools, software that's specifically made to facilitate visualization of data, processes, and things like that. Project management productivity tools. So there are lots of project management productivity tools, and deciding on how to run them is part of it. So you might choose a cloud-based solution because then you don't have to maintain any of it, and it's in the cloud. It's managed by someone else. It's software as a service. Or you might have something that's on-prem. Still, you could have it managed by someone else, but there's some parts that are managed it's on your hardware. So it just depends on your organization which one you choose. Sometimes you're so small that you have stuff locally, but if it's local, then other people don't have access to it. So oftentimes, whenever possible, using a solution that people can get to when you're not around makes sense. A ticketing and case management system. So having an ability to track issues as they come in, incidents, service requests, whatever, and take them throughout their life cycle. So you have the reporting, you have to assign it to someone, they have to work on and resolve it, and then make sure that it's actually been resolved, get the buy-off from the person who submitted. So having a system to track that in the project is a good idea. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this, and we'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.